December the 12th, 2024. It's about 10:25 in the morning, and I just want to wish you guys a great day today. First, all praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God always comes first in all of these streams. So I just want to give him praise, honor, and glory before I even go anywhere. Secondly, if you like what you're seeing, don't forget to hit the like, the share, or the subscribe button. If you would like to donate to this channel, you can donate so by PayPal. The link is in the description. This stream is sponsored by LIVE Products. LIVE, Live Now, We're Live Now. We have a line of drinks. We have drinks such as sour, orange, fruit punch, grapefruit, Morby, lime, and lemon. If you're in the Trinidad and Tobago area, you can place your order. The phone number is in the description. You also have cleaning products. We have disinfectant, fabric softener, liquid detergent, and dishwashing liquid. LIVE, Live Now, We're Live Now. Today we're going to be looking at Restore the Snyderverse, We Will Win, and we're also talking about Free Palestine and Guys Don't Give Up, Keep on Fighting. And we're going to talk about some current events with that, mix it in with this stuff. But first things first, let's go into the Restore the Snyderverse stuff. All right, let's start off with, I'm going to go onto Twitter here. And particularly, I'm going to go into a particular post here on Twitter. Let me see if I can scroll down to it. Here it is. And the Batfleck movie, Make the Batfleck movie. You know, the Batfleck fans. The Batfleck movie is reminding us, that Twitter handle, as part of the celebration of Make the Batfleck movie 4th year anniversary. Excuse me. We are trending all day this Friday. Make the Batfleck movie 4th year anniversary. This will be Friday the 13th, which is Black Friday, December the 13th, 2024. But I started it off on December the 12th, and we're going to go into that in a little bit of detail. So first of all, there's that. So tomorrow, you guys should be doing Make the Batfleck movie hashtag on Twitter, Instagram. You can do it also on YouTube, Facebook, and all other social media platforms, including Vero. Put them all up and let people see them. Now, with respect to this, I have already started, so let me just show you one of them here, which is Restore the Snyderverse, Make the Batfleck movie, and watch DC fans return to DC. Why? Because we asked for this, not for sulky Batboy and rehashed villains. This was a different story. No one hunts down the Batman, destroying him and everyone he loves. We haven't seen that before. We've seen something like that in Ra's al Ghul's, what's his name? Some reason I can't remember his name. Bane. We saw Bane beat up Batman and break his back. We saw Bane beat up Batman and break his back. I don't know why I'm yawning right now. He beat up Batman and break his back, but we didn't really see him hunt down Batman, try to destroy him, destroy those who he loves all around him. We have not seen a movie like that. And this movie, that's some of the crux of the movie, is that, of course, not to mention the incredible fight sequences we'll see with Batman facing Deathstroke. Deathstroke being enhanced, so he's actually stronger, faster, quicker, more intelligent than Batman is. So that would be a hell of a story to watch. And to see also that Batman does not destroy Deathstroke at the end of that movie, because, as we all know, we see Deathstroke reappear with Batman in the apocalyptic future. So Deathstroke's around. So this is gonna be a hell of a movie, and I really want to see it. I tagged in Ben Affleck, Joe Manganiello, and also Gavin O'Connor. Gavin O'Connor, who will be doing Ben Affleck's The Accountant 2. And if that movie makes any money, like the first one did, you can look out to most definitely seeing Ben Affleck facing off as Batman And I do think Ben Affleck is going to be Batman again. And I do believe that it's almost inevitable. It's like a matter of time that we see the Snyderverse restored and we see Zack Snyder finish off his two Justice League movies. Ben Affleck get his Batman movie. I do think that's just a matter of time. It seems also that David Ayer might actually get his Suicide Squad movie put out there. I don't know if it'll be put in theaters. It may. That is a possibility. But I do want to see Zack Snyder's Justice League, the first one. That is to say, Zack's first of the trilogy. I do want to see it see cinemas in a significant way globally. Maybe they'll do it for the sequel. So they may put out the first movie in cinemas so that you get the context for the sequel that comes forward. But however they do it, I want to see it on IMAX. I don't want to see it in the normal theater. I want to see it in IMAX. I'm looking forward to that. So that's the first bit of information. There's more. Apparently, I have a lot of gas inside of me, and I'm refluxing. So, oh yeah, my stomach's hurting me. Yep. Here is Deathstroke here again. This is the Nightmare timeline. A lot of people have been kind of hovering around this. I didn't even know it. I started talking about Batman, the best Batman, and all these things. I was getting all these things, not realizing that people are heading in this direction. What's even weird? Santosh says this, and it's really a great point. People are more excited about a sequel to a decade-old Ben Affleck movie than a new Superman movie. The DCU is cooked. Really, ain't nothing happening for the DCU. You know, nothing really exciting is happening in the DCU when it comes to movies. So yeah, the countdown is rated over. Fandango did this survey. Hold on. So Fandango did this. Said this is their biggest survey yet. We asked over 9,000 Fandango ticket buyers for their most anticipated movies of 2025, and here are the top 10. What are you watching on the big screen in the new year? So most people wanted to see Captain America: The Brave New World. Second in line here is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, Jurassic World: Rebirth. These are all big franchises, as you know. The World of John Wick: Ballerina. The Fantastic Four: First Steps. Avatar: Fire and Ash. Wicked Part 2. The Accountant, which is placed in at number 8. Superman, placed in at number 9. And 28 Years Later, placed in at number 10. In other words, The Accountant, people want to see that more than they want to see Superman. Superman is at the bottom of the freaking list. The only thing less than Superman, it might pass Superman, is 28 Days Later, which is a zombie movie. Okay? Which is insane, y'all. It's insane. Right? It shows us that a movie that's not, The Accountant's not really that big a movie, okay? It did okay, the first one, which was 10 years ago, 2014, I believe it was. And as an interesting premise and everything, Superman's below that. Y'all want to talk about James Gunn's Superman movie's going to do great? Something has to drastically happen between now and next year. Okay? Oh, that Superman movie is going to tank so freaking hard, y'all. So freaking hard. Okay? So people started talking about Batman. Kevin Conroy thought Superman was boring until Zack Snyder and Henry Cavill did Man of Steel. The deceased, now deceased Kevin Conroy, who was the voice of one of the most notable Batmans in Batman history, right? When it comes to TV, when it comes to animation, the voice of Batman was Kevin Conroy. Okay, Superman, he's square jawed, farm fed. He's just so boring. They dirtied him up a little bit, which I think is really smart because he was dull. I don't know if Superman was dirtied up. I didn't see Superman as dirtied up. I never saw Superman. Superman, again, people don't know the history of Superman. If you know the history of Superman, Henry Cavill's Superman is moderate compared to Golden Age Superman. Golden Age Superman used to grab people by their shirt collars and ragdoll them around to scare them. Sometimes he just fly up in the sky or leap very high up in the air with them and intimidate them, like he would really intimidate them. Now, these guys would deserve it because they were criminals, mobsters, or they were bullying other people, they were beating up other people. All right, except Superman Frankenman killed some people. He just took them and flung them through the air, like how in Black Adam, when Black Adam threw a guy, he landed to his death. Right? Superman did that too. Golden Age Superman was, he smashed into planes, blowing up everything. If the pilot didn't eject from the plane, he died too. Superman was that, and he would say, deserved it. He was they deserved that. Okay. So people who are saying that Superman, Henry Cavill Superman is dirtied up, they don't know Superman. They just don't know Superman, the history of Superman, and all of that. If they did know the history of Superman and all of that, they would not say that. Okay. Superman in the comics, well, I don't know for the comics today, but the Superman I saw, even the Silver Age Superman killed. Superman killed. He killed. He killed. Okay. Now, he wasn't as radical as Golden Age Superman. Okay. There was a different time. And Superman, they had mobsters and all these people, and Superman kind of manhandled the mobsters. He was like the guy who he would manhandle the bully. Okay. He would stand up for the weak and the oppressed, and he'd be like that line between them. Now, as Superman evolved, the Silver Age Superman was less likely to do something like that. But even so, he killed. When the threat level got high enough, he'd have to terminate, the opposition that he was dealing with. So, it's not that Superman didn't kill or he had a no-kill rule. It's that um, Superman is one who tries to give hope to everyone. He tries to stand up to the bullies. He tries to stand up to those who want to abuse their power and want to beat up and destroy other people. But he's hesitant to kill, obviously. Superman's not like Silver Age Superman was hesitant to kill. Bronze Age Superman, same thing. He preferred not to abuse his power. Superman's not somebody who likes to abuse his power. But if the threat level is on his level or above, if you're dealing with a General Zod, if you're dealing with some alien that has a lot of powers and a lot of strengths, now he can unleash his power and use it. And if he has to fight to the death, he does so. Okay, he doesn't. Superman don't play. You know what I'm saying? But he doesn't like abusing his power. I think that's the right word I would use. He goes against the bully, but he doesn't like to abuse his power. Just because he's strong, he's not going to just use his strength to beat down and brutalize people and destroy them. That's not Superman. So that's basically Superman. Now, was Superman dirtied up? Henry Cavill Superman dirtied up? No, he wasn't dirtied up. He was Superman. Nothing he did when he was Superman was outside the confines of what he would do. It's just that in a real world scenario, you can't get clean, crisp, answers. Things are not resolved in a clean, crisp way. It's not that Superman was dirtied up. It's that the world's dirty and the world would perceive Superman a certain way. After Superman saved Metropolis, there was a lot of collateral damage. It wasn't because Superman wanted that collateral damage or wanted people dead. No, he was trying to stop the threat, but the threat was significant enough that it caused that amount of collateral damage. And some of that, Superman couldn't be everywhere at once. While he was busy trying to stop the world engine from pulverizing Metropolis and pulverizing the world, Metropolis was getting destroyed. The military was trying to stop the world engine from pulverizing Metropolis. They were not strong enough to do so, right? When Superman's fighting General Zod, who's a seasoned soldier, okay, they managed to suck all of the world engine and most of the Kryptonians into a vortex or into a black hole or into the Phantom Zone, right? They managed to do that and contain that, but they didn't suck General Zod in there and what, just one Kryptonian fighting Superman. This the kind of damage you get. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the Kryptonian punched Superman into outer space. That's how strong they are. So it was like, with that kind of capacity and that kind of strength, of course you're going to get collateral damage. It just so happened it damaged Wayne Enterprises that was found in downtown Metropolis. And Bruce Wayne, he's horrified by what he sees, the damage that he sees. He doesn't want that to happen again. Of course, he blames Superman just like everybody else for that. But it's not really Superman's fault. He's trying to stop the threat, right? Of course, General Zod made the announcement that Superman was on Earth, and that threat was brought to Earth because of Superman. And so that's another reason why Bruce Wayne was trying to stop Superman, because he was the source of this disaster, basically. At least he pins it on Superman. It's not Superman's fault that he ended up on Earth. That's his father's fault, right? He didn't choose to be on Earth. You know what I mean? And it's all these deep intricacies. Superman's not dirty, as Kevin Conroy says. I didn't see Superman as dirty. I didn't see Superman do something immoral. I didn't see Superman do something wrong. I think Superman maintained who Superman is. Superman stayed consistent to what Superman is since the Golden Age. Superman has been against bullies. He's been against the big people who abuse their power and hurt other people. Okay, that's just Superman. And it's just amazing that a lot of people don't get that they don't get who Superman really is, what Superman has been, why Superman remains Superman after all these years and all the changes on Superman. And that's what Zack Snyder said. He said, there are certain things. Right now, a fucking truck is blowing its fucking horn coming up the street, just really interrupting this stream. Like a lot of, I don't know why this place is so fucking weird, man. I'm going to eliminate some of the noise. I'm sorry about all the F-bombs I just hit you guys with. I'm just frustrated over the fact that this country is just so fucked up. Like, I'd be doing absolutely nothing. Maybe something useless. Maybe something stupid. No horns blow. None of this shit. No interruptions. Nothing. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to do something constructive, and this is when this happens. I'm just saying. The shit really starts to happen as soon as I start. It's just a fucking weird thing about this country. Place is just fucked up, man. Anyways, on with what I was saying. So Superman, anyway. Superman, yeah, this is what Superman is. He's not, I'm sorry about all the F-bombs I just put. I was just very frustrated. All of a sudden, whole fucking morning, none of this shit, and then I just started to do something constructive, and all of a sudden this shit comes, and it's just very weird. It's a spirit of it's a warring spirit in this country. In this country, so like you have to struggle just to move forward, because there's always some evil spirit trying to stop you from doing something positive. It's just very weird. Okay, this place is just fucked up like that. That's the only word I can use to describe it. It's fucked up, So, and it's so all the way through. And I'm going to explain some things because I don't know if it's endemic of the West or what, but we're going to talk about all that a little later. But anyway, I was saying, so Superman, he defends the poor, he defends the needy, he does not abuse his power, right? So Kevin Conroy is right in the sense that Superman was kind of boring. And the reason Superman was boring is not so much that Superman's ideals are boring or being good is boring. I think or being nonviolent is boring or saving people is boring. I don't think that was it. I think it's that Warner Brothers to this day tries to pigeonhole Superman into a fake imitation of what Christopher Reeves brought to the screen. Christopher Reeves brought a certain charm and a certain style of Superman to the screen. And forever, these fucking executives in Warner Brothers and assholes like Jeff Johns and even, what's his name? Even James Gunn, they're trying to recapture that. And it's not going to happen. Christopher Reeve is fucking Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve is nobody else. You cannot make another Christopher Reeve. They even tried to clone him. You remember when they did the Flash movie and they brought back dead Christopher Reeve in in AI or whatever the fuck they were using? It just was so creepy. And the reason it was so creepy was because Christopher Reeve is dead. His version of Superman will always stay and stand the test of time. But you cannot be trying to imitate his version of Superman for the rest of your life. He's gone. He's a one-of-a-kind person. Nobody can imitate Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve will forever be Christopher Reeve. And what Christopher Reeve did with Superman 1 and Superman 2 cannot be replicated. Why are you trying to replicate Christopher Reeve? Why the fuck would you try to do that? It was a different time. It was a different era. It does not apply to this time. It does not apply to this era. The relevance of it. And of course, a lot of directors, including Patty Jenkins, would say, oh, no, it's completely relevant to this time. No, it's not. Okay? The essence of it, the ideas in it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so my internet just dropped for some reason. So yeah, I'm being challenged in this really weird country, man. I told you there's like a fight down spirit continuously. People try to be progressive, to try to do good things, and there's this evil spirit that tries to back them down. Another thing in my country is sometimes you make a point, you say something, and some asshole from somewhere will disagree with you for no reason at all. They just try to make an argument out of it. And it's like so fight down. People fight down each other for some of the most trivial shit. I don't understand it. But that's the spirit of this place. It's a spirit of confusion. It tries to create a spirit of confusion here. There's a demon that rules this particular vicinity, that this municipality that tries to create discord, tries to create confusion, to allow for corruption. Anyways, let me keep it moving. So yeah, Superman, man, is awesome. Henry Cavill Superman. I never saw Henry Cavill Superman do something wrong. The only thing I think in BVS, Henry Cavill Superman, for a moment, he lost hope. He did lose hope for a moment in BVS, and he quit the cape for a bit. But that has happened in Superman comics. I mean, you have the famous Kingdom Come comic where Superman took a break and he just left mankind and started going and doing farming, right? So this is not anything new. This is not comic book related. This is not something that, where they say, oh, it's mopey Superman, blah, blah, blah. First of all, Superman's not mopey. For most of the iteration that Zack Snyder has done, is he sober? Yes, we have a very sober version of Superman because he's in a world where he has to be careful how he conducts himself. Okay? It wasn't his choice to be in that world, but now that he's in that world, he can't just reveal himself to the whole wide world and just, stroll around saying I'm a Kryptonian. That's suicide, right? They'll try to kill him. And those he loves, who they think would have enabled him to be there. He'd be seen as a public enemy, a threat. We see in U.S. hegemony today, any nation that seems to be rising up and catching itself and doing well enough that it's leading the world in some way or capacity, that's immediately seen as a threat to the United States of America that needs to be destroyed, dismantled, and so on. And we're seeing that same thing happen right now with China, with Russia, with Iran, with North Korea. Recently there, South Korea, and I'm going into a little politics here, people. I'm digressing for a minute, but I'll get back on track. We see with South Korea that they wanted to have martial law because the president of that country, wanted to try and implement certain things and wanted to get his ass out of the hot seat because he's on corruption charges and stuff like that. And he does martial law. Now, you have to ask yourself, South Korea is supposed to be this democracy. The people, of course, the legislature overturned it, right? But the point is, somebody trying to get martial law in place means they want to get a dictatorship. Now, you have to understand something. The U.S. is not interested in South Korea's democracy. They don't give a fuck about that. Just as how much they don't give a fuck about Syrian democracy and the people being liberated and freed. Otherwise, they wouldn't have Al Qaeda running that country right now. So clearly, that's not what their interest is. American interest is in getting and invading different countries and ensuring that no country rises up against it. That it is the number one in terms of economy. It's the number one in terms of military might. They're the number one in terms of education. They want to be the empire. Their proxy is Israel. Okay? Israel is their proxy. That's why they have vested interest in them. And what was known as the Western Empire, which involves old empires of Europe, such as the UK, France, Germany, Spain. These were once empires. And of course, by extension, their proxy, which is Turkey, which was, the center of the Ottoman Empire. These people want to run the world. They want to run all of Africa. They want to run, the way how things are set up, they're in charge of the world. They have the organizations that are put in place, the United Nations, etc., are Western organizations, the World Bank, the World Health Organization. These are all organizations formed by the West, which the East is abided by, and so on. So why this is important is I'm saying that America doesn't give a damn about South Korea being a democracy. They just want to make sure they have their military bases in South Africa so they can monitor. I'm sorry, South fucking Korea. Sorry, South Korea, so they can monitor what's happening in North Korea. Okay, Kim Jong-un in North Korea wants a united Korea. I don't know what regime in South Korea was, but the president of South Korea at the time, I don't think it's this one. I think it's one before that. He wanted South Korea to be corresponding with North Korea, and they become a one united Korea once again. Because of the Korean War, America was able to get their troops and their grimy fucking paws into Korea. Okay? So, once again, real estate cut down. South Korea is just basically a puppet of the United States of America. And Kim Jong-un decided, fuck y'all. I'm going to arm myself up. I'm going to get nuclear weapons. And I'm going to make sure that I protect North Korea so that Americans don't come across there and destroy. That's just what's happening. That's why Kim Jong-un then extremely militaried up. China, same thing, extremely militaried up. Nobody would be militaried up if there wasn't some nation in the world, some evil empire in the world. And yes, I'm going to say this unabashedly. There are good people in the United States of America, like anywhere else in the world. A lot of good people. But the system under which the United States is working is a fucking evil empire. It's evil. It's evil. There's no if, buts, or maybe. The people who are running that system, they worship Satan, period. They worship Satan. I'm just going to let y'all know straight up. I'm not even trying to front this. They're evil. Okay? It's an evil empire. They call it the lamb-like beast. You have the false prophet, the lamb-like beast. You have the dragon. Okay? And quite frankly, that lamb-like beast, which is America, it behaves, its rhetoric is nice. Even some of the philosophies it preaches to the world are beautiful. It's what we all desire. World peace, kindness, everybody living in unity, working with one another. But its policies are demonic. Okay? And it's just what it is. It is what it is. Some of y'all don't like what I'm saying. Too bad. I'm sorry. I'm telling you the truth. Okay? Not only them, but Europe is equally as evil. They have stolen people's cultures. They have stolen people's lands. They'll say, well, we won wars. That's how. Yeah, but you can win a war and leave people with their culture and their lands. Okay? The Roman Empire did that. Okay? The Grecian Empire did that. Fucking the Persian Empire did that. All they do is they pay tributes to them. You get to keep your customs. You get to keep your religion. You get to keep your culture. Okay? Or you're just going to pay some duties to me. That's how it was back in the day. Kings would win wars. And they'd have the countries that they defeated under them pay them tribute. And they get to carry on and everything. But now you're taxed by them, pretty much. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that was so for everybody. I remember God giving explicit directions to King Saul, for example, to kill out all the Philistines, just kill everybody, murder them all out, right? And it was because at the time the Philistines had moved away from God, and so he said annihilate them, and he didn't, right? Now you would say, well, Israel probably getting the same instructions, annihilate, the Philistina, annihilate the Lebanese, annihilate the Syrians. What they're doing is God's will. Some of y'all crazy ass motherfuckers would say that. Okay. Truth be told, it's the devil telling them to do that. It's the absolute opposite of what you think it is. Okay. Because these Jewish people that they say are Jewish, they're not Jewish. That's why they don't do in Israel, they don't do DNA tests. Why do you think they don't do DNA tests? There's a lot of people coming into Israel claiming to be Jews who are not. They're not even Ashkenazi Jews. They're Europeans that got a free pass into Israel. If you're not even doing DNA tests, how can you know? It's banned in Israel, by the way. How can you know if they're Jews or not? They could be fucking Nazis for all we know. We have some people supposedly Jewish because they speak that Babylonian Jewish stuff, Babylonian configured Jewish, whatever you call it. I forgot what the name of it is. But they come from wherever they come from. They can speak the language a little bit. Some of them can't even speak the language. They speak Spanish. Some of them, and how they claim they're Jewish, I don't know how the fuck. I mean, if I say I'm Jewish, and I do have Sephardic Jew in me, I could go into Israel, get a pass, and go there. I'd probably not be treated like the white European Ashkenazi Jews. Ashkenazis in inverted commas, because some of them are not Ashkenazi Jews. Okay? It's just fucking crazy what's going on up there. But anyway, the point is, this is my point. My point is this, that ultimately, in the end, the people running the governments or the governments of these countries, they do not fear the Most High God. They just don't, right? They're not even secular people. Some of them say they're secular people, but they're not even secular. They literally, the people who are leading these campaigns and stuff, they literally worship Satan. Like, there's no other way to describe it. Okay, their connection to the highest, when they talk about God or the coming back of the Messiah, Moshiach, they're talking about Satan. I am not joking. I am dead serious when I say this. Okay? Some of the head religious people in the world worship Satan. And they do satanic rituals. This is real talk. The Pope, you would think he would worship God, right? You would think so. There's a reason why pedophilia runs rampant in the Catholic Church. The head of almost every institution. You took at the head of Seventh-day Adventists being caught in rackets and scams. Why? All of these people are linked up. Okay? Just wanted to say that because I think it's something that you guys need to know. That the rulers of this world, most of them, worship Satan. It's just what it is. My country is the same thing. The same thing. Okay? Usually to coordinate something, and the system in every single country, especially the Western countries, is the same, more or less. And the way how the rich people move in the country, or the elite people move in the country, that's why you have a separation of the elite from the people. And therefore you have different interests by the elite. It's different to the interest of the people. There's a reason, and there's a you're seeing that wider and wider divide, and people are becoming less and less. They're less and less trying to be subtle about it and hide it. Okay, I'm going to say this, and again, this is a statement that some of you are not going to agree with, but I don't care. The rise of homosexuality and the rise of witchcraft, these were things that people used to keep on the down low. The rise um, of sex changes and pedophilia being trying to get that legalized. Now, anybody who's been around for the last 20 years or even 30 years knows that pedophilia is wrong, that homosexuality was not something people used to parade all around. And they're still trying to lump homosexuality with racism, meaning they're trying to say if you say things against people who are gay, then that's wrong. And the difference is, and they talk about the Bible and all this stuff. And the difference is you are canceled. This cancel culture, you are canceled for saying these things. Now, I am not someone who cares to know if somebody's gay or not. And even if somebody's gay or homosexual, I would still talk to them. Just know I am not because that's an aspect of your life. That's not you. You in your entirety are probably something else. I talk to people about sports. I talk to people about all kinds of things. So I'm not particularly, if you know and you tell me the truth that you're gay or homosexual, whatever, it doesn't really have any bearing on me in the sense that once you're not trying to court me or chase me, then I'm not bothered too much by it, right? That's, in my opinion, it's your private life, and whatever you do in your private space is your thing, right? Um, I don't endorse it. That's my personal view. That doesn't stop me from talking to you. But me personally, I don't think it's normal. Okay, but that doesn't mean that just because of that, that doesn't mean that you're necessarily somebody I will shun or scorn because shit, most of us have some sort of issue of some kind. Okay, and some of us don't speak about it, and the fact that you even speak about something is good because if you speak about it more, you get to air out and be more of yourself, be more authentic about yourself. Okay. So it's not that I don't think if somebody wants to say that they're gay or whatever, and they're saying this is who I am or whatever, okay, fine. Because again, it's better you let it out than you keep it inside and it destroys you, right? You have to hide a secret from everybody. So, but the thing that I have an issue with, and I'm covering so many different things here, right? We're talking about Superman, and I just went off on a tangent, right? But the issue I have with that is this: I should be able to say whatever I want to say without you thinking that I'm bashing you. Okay? Just because I don't endorse what you're doing, which I am free to do, okay, doesn't mean that I'm bashing you for it. If I think it's something that you're doing which is wrong, I'll tell you that. Okay? If I'm your friend, I should damn well tell you what I believe and how I feel about things. And you may feel offended by it, but that shouldn't bother a friendship. Okay? It's not an issue I'm going to bring up every time and time and time again because I know it's a sore issue for you. I say what I have to say. This is my point of view. This is how I feel about things. And we keep it moving because I don't have to sleep with you, right? I'm not the one dealing with you. That's your private life. As far as I'm concerned. You come out and say what you say about your private life. I come out and say how I think about it. And that's that. Okay? It doesn't have to go on and on and on. There's a guy on here who we've had long conversations about that issue. And he enlightened me on certain things and other things I just don't give a damn about. And at the end of the day, that doesn't stop me from talking to him. You see? Because we must keep conversations going. We must keep talking to each other. We're humans first. We have feelings. right? We live in a world where different people come from different backgrounds, different things have happened to them. Nobody's had a perfect life. So all of us are in the same boat together. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't, this is how it is. Okay. I don't know of any perfect human being. I have never met one. Okay. So you have to understand that. And so based on that, I can't, I I don't believe in divorce unless it's due to adultery. Somebody sleeping around with different people. Okay. And I think of it as a last measure. Now people are divorcing for all kinds of reasons. Okay. That's my personal belief system. It's based on something, it's based on scripture. There's so many different divorcees out here. I know so many people close to me have divorced. Does that mean I stop talking to them? I think it's wrong, but that doesn't mean I stop talking to people. You understand what I'm saying? So we can look at things, see they're wrong. If somebody asks my opinion on it, I tell them, hey, I unabashed about my opinion on things. That's wrong as far as I'm concerned. I think homosexuality and the act of homosexuality is wrong. Okay. That's me. And it's not going to change for anybody. Okay. It doesn't matter what laws you put in place. It ain't going to change. It is what it is. But having said that, doesn't mean I'm going to stop talking to you, or it doesn't mean I'm going to stop interfacing with people. I've spoken to people who are murderers in prison. I've spoken to people who have stolen from other people. I've spoken to liars, cheaters, all that stuff, which is wrong. People do wrong things. I do wrong things. I'm not proud of them, but I do wrong things. So just because I identify something as wrong, in my opinion, doesn't mean that I'm targeting you. I'm targeting you, and I'm coming after you, and I hate you, and I won't talk to you. And I'm not that kind of person. Okay. But there's something called right, in my opinion, and something called wrong. Okay, so having said that, let's keep it moving. So I'm not here to please everybody. I have my values. I have a way how I see the world. That's why I'm called Christ I Am Disciple. And the name should have given you an idea of what I'm about. Do I it look at this. On this very stream, I just cursed a couple times. I don't think cursing is right. I think it's wrong. I think it's violent. I think it shows a lack of being able to articulate yourself properly. I think that I think its intention usually is to hurt. Now, some people use obscene language in euphemistic ways. You know, they're really trying to say something good, and they curse. Okay, like you say, that's fucking amazing. Okay, that's not bad, right? Then you're fucking amazing. It's not bad, and that's not you're not. But it doesn't mean necessarily that that might be part of my repertoire, because maybe I can say something else that's just as good, and I don't have to use f bombs and stuff like that. You know, so I was raised to believe that if you had to use strong language like that, and obscene language like that, that you're kind of copped out. Now that's how I was raised. Okay, I can see, I have understanding. I can understand when, using that language is not necessarily a bad thing. It's part of the vocabulary and can be used. And there was a time in history when people were using it quite a lot in British society. They used those words a lot, and then it was sort of dialed back, and people didn't use it anymore, not as much. And then it was associated with the common people, what they call the common people, and the elite people didn't use it, just to form a disparity. So, I understand how language was developed and all that, and we've gone into so much shit that has nothing to do with Superman. We just kind of just spiraled out of there, right? And the point of where we diverged was when we were talking about America and American values and America as an empire, and we were talking about South Korea, okay? And I just completely went off into a completely different tangent with that, right? So let's try and get back on track. So we were talking really about Superman And we're particularly talking about Kevin Conroy saying that they dirtied him up a bit. And yeah, they did. Did they dirty him up a bit? I don't think they dirty him up a bit. I see Superman with the same core values, the same basic Superman. Henry Cavill was the same basic Superman. It's just that he was in a world that's different. The world, how the world responded to Superman, wasn't in Hollywood-like style. So the TV shows of Superman never brought that world to the table. The Christopher Reeves versions of Superman never brought that kind of world to the table. The world we live in now is quite narcissistic. It's quite skeptical of everything. And rightfully so, it should be skeptical of everything because we're learning that our leaders have been lying to us, that the systems that have been put in place are different to what we have been taught and what we have been brainwashed into thinking the world is. So it's not strange to watch a BVS and say, yeah, that reminds us of our world, you know? It's not strange. And even though BVS is a pretty old movie and some of the technology in BVS is backward, you know, the phones and stuff. And also the world in Man of Steel is a bit backward, you know. Some of the businesses and enterprises that are found in Man of Steel are no longer existent. So there's a lot, you know, going on there. But at the end of the day, we can identify with the world that we see in Man of Steel. It feels like our world. When we can identify with the world in BVS, it feels like our world. Zack Snyder Justice League is not so much about the world so much, but it's, you know, newspapers, for example, are a dwindling thing in the world. There's still newspapers out there, and, you know, you can get still physical copies of newspapers, but it's almost dissolved. So there's certain things about those worlds now that are kind of historical accounts now, more than they are reality, all right? But the world itself is very much it's not Hollywood world. It's our world. You feel that our world in those movies, and that's why people react to those movies like they would react to an actual event, almost like a documentary. It would react to an actual event in our world. That's why they react that way. And some people don't like the movies for the very reason that they don't like certain things in our world. So the mirror image of a world has been Zach succeeded at doing that with Man of Steel. He succeeded with BVS, and he even succeeded with doing that to a lesser extent with Zack Snyder's Justice, because Zack Snyder's Justice League still, to be able to get that story shaped a certain way, it had to sort of ignore the realism of the world and the realism of these characters. He had to work a little bit of magic to get it to twist into the fairy tale ending that we got, right? He cheated. And what do I mean by cheating? Flash reversed time, for example. In the real world, that world would have been annihilated by Darkseid. Steppenwolf would have succeeded. He would have won, right? Because there's no magical reversing of time. He had to use magic. And it was spectacular magic. When we watched Flash reverse time and everything, it was spectacular. And of course, there was a build up to that. But the point is, he had to use magic to sort of turn it back. And of course, the magic that he used was in line with the storyline. So it wasn't like he wasn't, but it's just that, you know, he had to do something that was meta-human and highlight the meta-human's abilities, right? That's how that world got saved. It wasn't because, you know, of some sort of tactical discussion. It wasn't like how Superman talked Batman out of killing him, right? Where it was, you know, some psychological opening in Batman's mind. It wasn't that, right? It wasn't like how in Wonder Woman 84, Wonder Woman spoke to something in the main antagonist's mind and made him change his mind and do the right thing. It wasn't that. And I thought that would be actually even more powerful. Because when you think about Man of Steel, when you think of BVS, what makes BVS powerful is Superman wasn't using any magical solution. That's what makes that movie so realistic. He wasn't using his powers to influence Batman. He didn't use his powers to take down Doomsday. Well, he did because he flew, but you know, it didn't save his life. Let's just put it that way. He died eventually. He didn't use any powers to live. You know what I'm saying? So, BVS was more realistic. Man of Steel was more realistic because ultimately, in the end, he had to kill General Zod, you know, and that consequence really haunted him. So it was a sort of win-lose situation for him, because he didn't like killing. And Superman doesn't like killing people. He doesn't really. That's not his thing. If he has to do it, he does it, right? So that was something. Anyway, the point I'm making is this is all about restore the Snyderverse, and we just spiraled all over the universe just to get back to the point that it's Kevin Conroy, the man who was Batman for so many years in the animated series and so on, that's boasting about Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder's work with Henry Cavill in Man of Steel. That was the whole point, okay? Which it really just spiraled all over the place. It's almost 30 minutes I've been talking now. If you guys got any comments, please feel free to comment in the chat. Just remember that I won't be able to address all the comments because the format of this thing doesn't allow me to see every comment that's there. So tomorrow, remember, guys, make the Batfleck movie. Don't forget to put Restore the Snyderverse there as well. You can address it to whoever you want. I have some other DCEU news here, which is going to be interesting to some people. Now, it's more of a rumor than it is news, but nonetheless, I'm going to get to it here. All right, let me do the lesser things first. So Henry Cavill was streaming on. I'm sorry, he was trending on. Excuse me. He was trending on. He was trending on. Shit, come on, AdSense, just spill it out. He was trending on Twitter, and that's because, in addition, the Voltron live action film. It started filming and it's starring Henry Cavill. And as we all know, Henry Cavill, it looks like he's going to get to do also his Warhammer movie. So Henry Cavill's been in the news for a bit, and that's why he was trending. Here's some additional news. The Hollywood Handle says DC Studios' Clayface movie is officially moving forward. Mike Flanagan is writing the script. So they're doing a Clayface. Instead of doing Clayface in a Batman movie or something, because we've never seen Clayface, people. We've never seen Clayface in a Batman movie. For some stupid reason, Matt Reeves and they're just using the same rehashed characters. No new characters in any Batman movie. They're going, I think they're using Scarecrow again. How many times do you have to use Scarecrow, man, in Batman movies? I don't get it. They use Scarecrow a lot. They use Penguin a lot. How many Batman movies have we seen Penguin in? We've seen Mr. Freeze. We've seen Bane about 2 times, right? We've seen Ra's al Ghul. We've seen his daughter. We've seen Catwoman. We've seen Catwoman a bunch of times. We even had a Catwoman solo movie, right? The very first, in fact, since we've had Batman 66 had Catwoman, right? Batman 1989 had Catwoman, right? No, sorry, Batman 1992, sorry. Catwoman was the second one, right? Then we had a Catwoman movie, right? Then we had Catwoman in The Dark Knight Rises, right? We had Catwoman in that. Then we had Catwoman in Batman, The Batman, right? How many times are we gonna have Catwoman, man? And then we had Penguin, right? We had Penguin in the Batman movie. We had Penguin in Batman 1989. We had Penguin in Batman 66. We had Penguin in Gotham. You remember Gotham, the TV series? How many times we gotta have Penguin, man? We had Joker a number of times. Again, Joker in the Batman 66, Joker in Batman 1989, who got killed. We had Joker in the animated series. We had Joker in Gotham. We have Joker in The Dark Knight. We have Joker again in we had a Joker movie for crying out loud. And then on top of that, we had Joker in the Batman. I mean, how many times do we have to see the same rehashed characters over and over and over and over and over again? Now, of course, you got to have Alfred, right? Alfred's in all everything. But I'm just saying, the only people who have done something new and brought new characters to the table is Zack Snyder. And Ben Affleck was going to bring some new characters to the table as well, right? Let me show you what I mean. So, Zack Snyder had in Batman v Superman, Zack Snyder brought in Lex Luthor, who was kind of like the enemy of Batman, right? We had KG Beast. We'd never seen KG Beast on the screen. KG Beast was there on the screen, right? Alatoniev. Then we had we've had Deathstroke. We saw Deathstroke on the same fucking screen as Batman. Okay, we had our Joker there, obviously. We have Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn, Harley Quinn's a new again. Even David Ayer introduced new guys. Killer Croc, Harley Quinn, the guy who deals with fire, Diablo. So we had all these new characters that came in and really gave us a refreshing look at new characters coming to DC, where they're hinged around pivotal big characters. So Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman. For the first time we saw on the screen Cyborg. The first time we saw on the screen we saw Flash. The first time on the screen we saw Aquaman. And then we had all these Easter eggs inside of there. Zach was bringing something new to the table that so far these unimaginative fucks can't come around to doing. And they always feel you need to have a solo fucking movie before you can bring them together, which is just so fucking stupid and retarded. Clayface should be in a Batman movie. You shouldn't be starting with a Clayface movie. It's just like common fucking sense. You introduce him in a Batman movie, just like how they introduced Wonder Woman. They introduced Wonder Woman in Batman v Superman. I mean, it's just common sense. And what happened to the Wonder Woman movie? It did well. What happened to the Aquaman movie? It did well. Why? Because they were introduced in a movie with characters everybody knows. So now we're curious about these characters. That's what Zack Snyder does so well. And then you have your solo films after, which is the opposite of what Marvel did, but it's better because you're actually tying these characters to well-known characters and making you interested in them enough that you want to see their solo movies. Zack was a genius when he did that. And DC and Warner Brothers, these fucking imaginative, lacking imagination, lacking creativity, trying to always play it safe, assholes, couldn't see that. I know one of you guys is talking a lot. I gotta check and see who it is. Okay, no, nobody's talking. Okay, cool. I thought some of you were talking, but you're not. All right, let me go back here. So they're doing a Clayface movie. And a Clayface movie by itself is just retarded. Nobody asked for it, first of all. Do people like Clayface? Yes, they're intrigued about Clayface, but nobody asked for it. And particularly as a solo fucking film. People want to see Clayface go up against Batman in a group of villains. And then you can have your solo movie. But apparently, Warner Brothers thinks ass first. They seem to be really good at putting out bad ideas. So what does Kel say? Theater's going to be empty as fuck, but hey, at least he'll be certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and he's laughing at that. These guys don't read comics. They don't know anything. Hey, this is a side note. Long times to waiting. Finally, I received my Alita Battle Angel, and thanks for the packing together with delivery. Best service. So it's Toy Panic, and he's gotten his action figure of Alita Battle Angel. Shout out to the Alita Battle Angel crew, by the way. I know a lot of you guys are busy doing different things, but give Alita her sequel, please, people, because she needs it. All right, now this is the big news. It's a rumor, but nonetheless, it's big news. Now, in September the 14th, Cinehouse said this for followers only. WB's has reached a deal with Comcast to continue in a long-term contract. This will give Max additional support with streaming. It has been said they want alternative DC shows outside of DCU, and names like David Ayer and Zack Snyder have been mentioned. Okay, so that was in September of this year. Yesterday, he said, "Told you so." Remember, I said this back in September 14, 2024, months ago, and now it is confirmed. This was also the report that many trolls used on this app to say I was lying about what I knew. Well, now you know I don't lie about my members only reports. And this is what he's talking about. Something is cooking. It's happening. WB, Warner Brothers, Comcast. This is CS, the director. Warner Brothers Discovery to expand Max and Discovery Plus streaming after a new deal with Comcast. So apparently they've had a deal with Comcast, and this is what he's talking about. Now, I don't know how true this is, how verifiable this is, but we can actually check it right now to see. Hold on a second. So we can just simply Google it. Now, I got a lot of stuff in Google. There's a lot of material I have to cover, but I'll try to cover it as much as I can. Let's see here. So we will type in Comcast Warner Brothers. There you go. See what pops up. Okay, 2 days ago, Comcast Warner Brothers Discovery settled a lawsuit over refusal to partner on Harry Potter series. So the Hollywood Reporter reported about that. Discovery Sky alleges that Warner Brothers Discovery breached a deal over alleged obligations to present it with opportunities to co-produce at least 4 shows per year from 2021 to 2023. Apparently, this is by Winston Cho. Comcast, Sky, and Warner Brothers Discovery have settled a lawsuit over alleged breaches to a 2019 deal for exclusive rights to shows. Now, apparently, Comcast was supposed to be able to have the exclusive rights to broadcast the Harry Potter shows. Lawyers for both sides on Monday informed the court of an agreement to resolve the case. Terms won't be disclosed. The companies agreed to the dismissal of all claims in the action. The filing stated every party will bear its own fees and costs. On Monday, Comcast and WB also unveiled renewal of a distribution deal across Xfinity and Sky UK that includes the company nabbing rights to bundle ad-supported version of Max and Discovery Plus in its streaming packages. Under the agreement, the upcoming Harry Potter series will reach Sky in the UK. Okay, 2 days ago, this is what happened. Comcast and Warner Brothers Discovery announced a multi-year distribution agreements across Xfinity and Sky UK. Again, this just has to do with Comcast and Warner Brothers resolving the Harry Potter issue. I don't know if there's anything else to this. So this may be what this may be what Cinehouse is talking about and doesn't realize it. So Comcast withdrew its lawsuit. Okay, here's something here. Warner Bros. Discovery to expand Max and Discovery Plus streaming after a new deal with Comcast. So this is also by Diana Carpenter. Let's see what the details are. Comcast Xfinity TV customers will be able to watch channels like TNT, TBS, and Discovery, as Comcast will be continuing its partnership with Warner Bros. Discovery. So apparently, Comcast and Warner Bros. Discovery have been in a partnership for a while. The Wrap reports that the cable giant and Warner Bros. Discovery signed a multi-year distribution deal. This is a distribution deal that will ensure the company's content will be delivered to Xfinity as well as Sky UK. While the financial terms of the deal are not revealed, Warner Bros. Discovery linear cable networks, including TNT, TBS, CNN, Discovery, Food Network, HTV, TLC, and Investigation Discovery, will be available to Xfinity TV customers. HBO will continue to be a part of Xfinity packages. The deal also maintains that HBO will continue to be available to Xfinity customers and expands Comcast rights so that the cable company can package and the ad-supported versions of Max and Discovery Plus in Xfinity streaming bundles. Additionally, Warner Bros. Discovery content will, as it already is, be offered by Comcast as part of the company's Now TV streaming service in the United States. So this is mainly distribution agreement. Greg Riggin, the president of content acquisition for Comcast, offered the following statement regarding the distribution deals. Through these agreements, we will bring Warner Bros. Discovery's extensive portfolio to our customers. However, they want to consume the content across our existing and future linear television and streaming bundles. Bruce Campbell, Chief Revenue Strategy Officer for Warner Bros. Discovery, added, the broad and multi-year agreements underscore the value and appeal of our linear portfolio for audiences in the United States. He also stated that Sky UK is an ideal partner because the company is preparing to launch Max in the UK and Ireland. The deal enables the use of Max app in the UK and Ireland. So I don't see anything about Zack Snyder or David Ayer. It doesn't seem to be anything to do with actual production of movies. This seems to be a distribution deal. Let's see. With Comcast continuing its partnership with Warner Brothers Discovery, subscribers will be able to watch this year's HBO Max hit series, The Penguin. The Penguin recently became the first DC series to ever receive a Golden Globe nomination. It was nominated for Best Television Limited Series Anthology series of motion picture made for television. It is also the first installment of the Batman epic Chrome Saga to receive a Golden Globe nomination. Okay, so I don't see anything here that specifically speaks to Zack Snyder or David Ayer. I'm going to type in Zack Snyder, see if anything comes up. Now, I do know that Zack Snyder is working with Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers TV on 300. So it's not far removed from a logic that Zack Snyder may just be pulled back in to Warner Brothers to work on, a DC project, particularly Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3, and even David Ayer's, the Suicide Squad get, done somehow. But what I would say is that this Comcast thing doesn't seem to have anything to do with Zack Snyder per se. Now, again, this is Cinehouse was saying this. This is on Reddit. Use the Reddit app here. According to Cinehouse, Comcast wants more alternative DC shows outside of the DCU, and mentioned David Ayer and Zack Snyder for this. Are we so back or false reporting, wishful thinking? So Cinehouse said this. Now, Cinehouse might have said that, but nobody else is confirming what Cinehouse said. Okay, because even this announcement here doesn't say that. It says Warner Bros. Discovery to expand Max and Discovery Plus streaming after new deal with Comcast. That has to do with the resolution with Comcast over Harry Potter, and an extension of Warner Bros. Content, basically HBO Max, etc., to Sky and to the other company over in the Europe. So this doesn't necessarily have to do with Zack Snyder and David Ayer. Now they're saying that Comcast, in part of the deal, Comcast wanted Zack Snyder and David Ayer, for example, to do their thing, and it's possible that's part of the agreement. We don't know the terms of the agreement, so that's speculation, unless somebody within the circles who was at the table for the agreement or got secondhand vocals on that. And this was 3 months ago in September, of course. Um, so I can't say that that's a confirmed something. So there they are again, mouthing this stuff. Um, Here again, updates for DC. This could be huge, but let's not get too excited just yet. We have to wait for something official. Rumor: Warner Bros. And Comcast have struck a deal that might lead to new DC projects outside the DCEU, possibly involving Zack Snyder and David Ayer. It's just a rumor, and it's still just a rumor. I would love for it to be true, but the Comcast Warner Brothers resolution agreement that they came to, because they had a court case against each other concerning Harry Potter, we don't know the details of it. Nobody knows the details of it. What they do know is distribution to Sky and to that other thing, whatever TV it's called, as that continues afoot. But as to the details, whether Comcast maybe negotiated, struck a deal for DC projects outside of the DCU involving Zack Snyder and David Ayer, I don't know about that. It kind of sounds a little bit adjunct, or shall I say, outside of the ambits of what they were. It's possible it could have happened. Okay, it's possible it could have happened. Well, we're not privy to that. That's what I'll say. So Cinehouse is saying one thing, but it's not confirmed yet. It's still something that's out there. Okay, so let me go to something else here, real nice and quick here. So that's more of a rumor. Still, it's not confirmed. Brad Curran says 5 years ago today, the entire world became a Justice League. Okay, don't think it was 5 years ago. It's 4 years ago. We're still in 2024. Actually, it's 2024. It's 3 years and something. It's 3 years and something. It's not 5 years ago. Okay. Next year, it'll be 4 years ago. So it's not 5 years ago. But Brad Curran is another guy that I like to listen to. And generally a very level-headed voice in the Snyder fandom. Yeah. So there's some other things I want to show you guys, and hopefully we can get to it. Remember, tomorrow we're talking about Make the Batfleck movie. Okay, and I still haven't gotten into the political stuff, but we'll see what we can do about that. It's already 11:43. I'm going to get out of here pretty soon. But just imagine the Batfleck movie. Make the Batfleck movie, people. You know what I'm saying? This is so good. That's just so good. Imagine Deathstroke versus Batman. Oh man, that would be so good. And there is Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke right there. Animated version of Deathstroke. This is Deathstroke from Arrow, the Arrowverse. Batman versus Deathstroke. Deathstroke kneeing Batman as Batman lands down and he comes down. She's coming to stab him in the stomach. Batman gets out the way. Remember, Deathstroke's an assassin who's more enhanced than Batman. So Deathstroke's used to killing people, taking them out. Beautiful. Oh man, that'll be some crazy fight scenes if we see this shit. That shit's gonna be crazy. Okay, I had a lot to say, but I'm trying to try and just get to the end of this. So the last person I got to talk about here when it comes to restore the Snyderverse and why I think the Snyderverse is going to come about, no matter what people say, it's a certainty, is Sammy here talking about, Flashpoint Paradox, which, we're never going to get that. Like, you can forget about that. That's a lost cause. Think about what we lost. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's Batman would have been so amazing to see. Yeah, if we had Flashpoint Paradox with Ezra Miller as the Flash, that would have been an incredible something. This is her. This is her. Her version of what it would look like. See the weakened Superman right here. Superman weakened. That's kind of crazy right there. You see Cyborg, Wonder Woman. Aquaman goes up against Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman kills Aquaman. You got that you got a villainous Batman sort of like. Oh yeah, and you got a female Joker. That's right. That would have been crazy. That'd have been crazy, man. Ah, shit. But we're not gonna get that. We're not gonna get that. It is sad. We're not gonna get that. Yeah, so that's all I got for Restore the Snyderverse. I'm almost on an hour in. So let me get into the other stuff that I want to talk to you guys about. So Max Blumenthal says, this is obviously staged and fake scene by one of the biggest regime change frauds in the corporate media. This prison has already been cleared out by HTS goon squads days earlier. Then civilians scored its cells for relatives. But somehow Clarissa Ward, the new actress who once faked being under direct fire by Hamas and who has spent over a decade shamelessly propagandizing for the jihadists, now executing minorities in Latakia, just happened upon the last prisoner slumbering under a blanket. This scam scenario reminds me of the time Ward's college, Arwa Daman, determined that Assad used chemical weapons by sniffing a child's backpack. And after countless blatant deceptions deployed by the Syrian opposition on its way towards becoming the new gangsters' government. Journalist Flim Flam, not only exposes the absence of editorial standards at CNN, it raises questions about the credibility of Ward's past pieces trumping up regime change in other countries targeted by the United States and UK intelligence. So she was saying that, they found a survivor of the chemical blast and it's a lot of bullshit. As y'all know, Bashar Assad did not deploy chemical weapons upon his own people. It was a bold-faced lie. Was his administration corrupt? Of course. His administration was corrupt. He was not necessarily the person who was corrupt. He was trying to sort of consolidate things and get the country in order. But his generals and other people there were corrupt. That goes without saying. Did he order executions of certain people? Absolutely. These people were also very wicked, evil people and part of ISIS and part of Al Qaeda. He was trying to keep as much as possible stability in the very secular country of Syria. Syria was a secular country. It wasn't a Muslim country. It wasn't a Christian country. It wasn't a Jewish country or Druid country or anything like that. They are trying to say that the Shiites, Syria was Sunni and, the Shiites and that they're battling. No, first of all, Assad wasn't a Shiite. He was um, Alawite, I think it is, or Alawite, Muslim. He wasn't Sunni either. The Sunnis lived in, of course, Syria, as well as Shiites, as well as Jews, as well as Christians. Everybody, it was a melting pot. It was a secular environment. The sanctions really hurt him, just as the sanctions are hurting Maduro in Venezuela. It's just as though the sanctions hurt um, everybody, Putin, everybody. But as you know, BRICS is going to help Venezuela a lot. BRICS, China, Brazil, South Africa, um, Russia, Iran, forming BRICS is really going to help. And the desperation that you're watching as this Western empire dies. And why I'm saying the Western empire dies is they can't keep the facade going anymore. What made the Western empire so powerful and to be able to run so smoothly was the agreement by the people who were part of the Western empire that it was doing the right thing. And they created all these propaganda and false narratives and demonized people in the East, demonized people who they thought were a threat to them. And that's what they did with Bashar Assad. They demonized him. They trumped up charges that he was killing his own people when he was actually trying to control and destroy the disruptive elements in his country, which were the jihadist elements, the Al Qaeda elements, the ISIS elements that were throughout his country. Was the people around him, were a substantial amount of people around him corrupt? Yes. Did they do some heinous things? Yes. But if you just look at the guy and look at his wife, he had great intentions for Syria. He was trying to rope in, he was trying to clean house. Putin managed to clean house in Russia. The oligarchs that were doing the corrupt things in Russia. And he passed certain laws that made transparency a must. And Assad was unable to do that because the people who he had to depend on to pass the laws in his parliament, they were corrupt. So they, he didn't have that kind of leeway that Putin had. The other thing is that, that they're calling him a strong man, just like how they called, Xi Jinping in China a strong. Well, they don't call him a strong man because, China, they always collaborate. They always deliberate with as many people as possible. Same thing with Putin in Russia. He's learned from the Chinese. So the resistance really to global imperialism, where the whole world's under one power, which is never going to happen, by the way, but this is what the United States has been trying to do. And they would represent Europe, and Europe would be the major beneficiaries. It's a very white supremacist sort of way of conducting things. Donald Trump's threats to the BRICS members, they're empty threats. Unless you're trying to go up and invade one of those countries. And here's the problem America has right now, the US. Their problem is they're not the biggest, baddest guys on the block. The biggest, baddest military guys on the block are those guys with nuclear weapons. And a lot of countries now have nuclear weapons, including Russia, which has the most nuclear weapons. So the United States of America can't just overtly do what they want to do. They have to work covertly. They've been supplying proxies with weapons to try to take over the world. Okay? And the America we're talking about is the America of the elitists, the America of the oligarchs, the America of the big companies. They want to take over the world. And they're using America as the vehicle to do so. They're using Israel as the vehicle to do so. They're using Europe as the vehicle to do so. These oligarchs are mostly in Europe, in Israel, in America. There. Now, I told you guys, if I had to go anywhere, I'd go Russia. Russia is the most level-headed of all the countries with big power. China has goals. China is looking to dominate the world. No doubt about it. Russia has never been looking to dominate the world. Okay. Russia has significant, Russia is probably the biggest country in the world. It's not looking to do that. It's looking to maintain itself. It's hard work to rule an entire world and not have your empire fall down. Many empires have tried, and many empires have fallen because of it. The more landmass you have, the harder it is to rule. And Russia has their hands full with just ruling Russia alone. So Russia's not interested in dominating the whole entire world. It's interested in collaborating with other nations and ruling sections of the world justly and honestly. And that's why Russia's agreed to the United Nations treaties and stuff. It makes sense. The United States is not interested in ruling the world. They're interested in killing off a whole bunch of people and ruling a world that they can sustain of elitists. That's what they intend to do. Same thing with Israel. Same thing with Europe. That's why the masses, they don't give a fuck about you. You're expendable. I'm expendable. And the reason why I curse here is because you got to understand how serious this is. Look at how they're treating the people of Syria. It doesn't matter their religion. It doesn't matter their race. It doesn't matter that some of them come from Europe. It doesn't matter that there are American civilians in there. It doesn't matter. They don't give a fuck about you. You look at how they treat people in Africa. You look at how they treat people in the Middle East. You look at how they treat people in Latin America. Expendable regimes. They want regime change. They don't care how many people die. It's a white supremacist system. And we all see it now for what it is. And we exist in it, but we have to overcome it. And that system is in every single westernized country. It's the same system. The elites in that country don't give a rat's ass about the population. The only reason they care about them is so that they don't rise up against them and overthrow them. Because there's a certain threshold at which people will take and then they will revolt. But they're formulating a game plan for that, so that if martial law has to be evoked in any country, they have the military, they have the police who will be able to massacre the public. This is the goal of these elitists, to get the police and the military on their side to the extent to which they could massacre the public in case the public rises up to overthrow them. In the United States, it's going to be harder because the public of the United States of America, first of all, Donald Trump is doing something that would satisfy the public, the white public particularly the poor white public, because to know that you'll have rights and privileges, that change will be preserved under him, that, you'll be able to mass kill other people. I think that kind of offsets the public going full-throated at the federal government and overthrowing them. Now, we've seen the public do that before. They've attempted to do so, but that was when Trump was being removed from power. The question is, will the public go along with Donald Trump all the way through? A significant portion of the public agreed with him, but he seems to be doing everything that the deep state wants him to do. Everything. And that begs the question, is he just a puppet of the deep state, just like every other president before? And if he is, what measures is the public willing to take? What sacrifices are they willing to take to ensure that he's removed? Not only is he removed, but also that the measures that he's trying to take, that every single measure is frustrated and prevented from being executed. This is what the public has to realize. You guys need to realize that you have the power, and it's up to you. You're going to either allow this guy and the deep state to do what they do, or you're going to stand up, because you guys are getting the truth now. Social media is allowing you to see the truth. So I want to show you guys something along these lines. There's a lot I want to show you. There's a lot I found out. But I'm going to take my time and do this. Let's start with Benghazi, Libya. 6 years after a U.S. ambassador was killed in Benghazi, Libya remains mired in chaos. That goes without saying. On the night of September 11th, 2012, and by the way, the ambassador was murdered. He was executed in Benghazi the same time that Colonel Gaddafi was murdered and assassinated in Libya. On the night of September 11, 2012, the U.S. diplomatic compound in Benghazi was attacked and burned. So they burned the evidence that was there. The U.S. ambassador to Libya, Christopher Stevens, who was visiting Libya's eastern city, and 3 other U.S. citizens lost their lives. At first, the attack was thought to have been carried out by a mob, angry about a video made in the United States that mocked Islam and the Prophet Muhammad. It was later determined to be an act of terrorism. And mind you, the people who carried out this act of terrorism are the same people in Syria right now, the same organization. 6 years have passed. In fact, they are ruling Syria right now. 6 years have passed and Libya remains mired in chaos. The crisis has sharpened in its severity in the years since the ouster of the North African nation's longtime ruler, Muammar Gaddafi, by rebels. They're not rebels. Stop the bullshit. By ISIS, backed by the United States, France, and the United Kingdom in 2011. The United States, wary of foreign entanglements, has decreased its attention towards Libya. Yeah, because you got mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. You fucked up the country that was very prosperous, was doing very, very well, which had peace in it. You fucked up that country by bringing ISIS out of Iraq into there. ISIS, which was formed by you. Al-Qaeda, which was formed by you. Funded by you. Osama bin Laden was funded by you. He was an agent of this fucking CIA. Now, not saying that Colonel Gaddafi wasn't an agent of the CIA too, but the point is, he started to bring about his own, think on his own, operate on his own. And so you guys decided you're going to off this guy because he's trying to unite Africa. He's trying to make it better for his people. All of a sudden, you got a problem with that because it threatens U.S. hegemony. The past few days have been replete with reminders of the chaos. September 10th, gunmen stormed the headquarters of Libya's natural oil company in Tripoli, killing as many as half a dozen people. The attack came on the heels of deadly clashes between militias who control parts of the capital, Tripoli, and an armed group known as the 7th Brigade from the southeastern city of Tarhuna. All this plays out in the backdrop of the fractured political control. Libya today has 2 power centers, an internationally recognized government based in Tripoli and an internationally recognized parliament based in the eastern city of Tobruk. The latter has appointed a government in the city of Beida that does not have international recognition. So they cut up the country into pieces, basically. So this is what Israel wants. This is what the U.S. has done. Both Mossad and CIA created ISIS. Both Mossad and the CIA created Al-Qaeda, the same Al-Qaeda that supposedly was involved in 9/11 or colluded with them on 9/11 to do the controlled demolitions, to terrorize American citizens. So you see, if they could do this to their own people, what the fuck do you think they would do to other people? These people don't care about you. How many times do I have to say that? They don't care about you. Oh, yeah, clearly didn't care about the ambassador. He clearly had information that they wanted covered up. This is from the United States Attorney's Office, District of Columbia. Leader in the 2012 Benghazi attack that killed U.S. Ambassador Stevens and 3 other Americans is sentenced to 28 years in prison. Abu Ahmed Abu Khattala, aka Ahmed Muqattala, 53, a Libyan national, was resentenced today to 28 years in prison on federal terrorism charges and other offenses stemming from September 11, 2012, terrorist attack on the U.S. Special Mission in Benghazi, Libya. First of all, let's make this abundantly clear. Hillary Clinton's emails are linked to this. This is what everybody doesn't want to talk about. Okay? That bitch, that nasty bitch, she wanted this guy gone. Okay? There's more, but I'm not going to go into that right now. The announcement was made by Assistant Attorney General for National Security Matthew G. Olson, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Matthew M. Greaves, Assistant Director, and all that bullshit. June 15, 2014, Khattala was captured in Libya and brought to the United States to face trial on the U.S. Nobody gives a fuck. This guy named Khattala is a mercenary. He was hired. He was a hitman hired to kill the dude. Okay? Shut him up for some reason. Let's go into something else here. Telegraphy says Turkish trucks that were bombed yesterday were carrying weapons for terrorists in Syria. That was back in 2015. Turkish journalists charged with spying over weapons report in Turkey. So they incarcerated two journalists, Can Dunder, editor-in-chief for the newspaper Cumhuriyet, and Erdem Gül, the paper's Ankara correspondent. They were able to identify that Turkey was smuggling in through the World Health, Food Program, munitions to ISIS. Okay. The government claimed that the intelligence trucks were carrying aid to Turkmen majority in Syria, a Turkish-speaking ethnic group. But I'm going to show you that fucking asshole named Erdogan. He's two-faced, and I'll show you. Here's the actual footage in 2015 that shows Turkey is sending weapons to Syria.
Artillery reportedly hidden among medical supplies in this convoy of trucks said to be operated by Turkish intelligence officers. Turkish pro-opposition newspaper Cumhuriyet, The Republic, alleges the trucks are heading for Syria and the hands of rebel fighters. Turkey denies arming extremists in Syria. 4 prosecutors who stopped the convoy have been detained, along with 34 officials accompanying the trucks, some of whom are said to have shot the video. The Turkish government claims the search of the trucks at the border with civil war-torn Syria was carried out by supporters of an anti-government cleric based in the US. The video's release comes as rebels in the country are advancing on Idlib, a province bordering Turkey.
So there's the footage of weapons in the World Food Convoy. All right, so it was straight up exposed right there. These are the 2 journalists that they faced a secret trial for revealing arms deliveries to Syria. As you know, Turkey's the worst when it comes to journalists. They literally incarcerate journalists, and they don't have any grounds. They just say they're spies or whatever. And they're looking to put them in prison. Okay, now I got this information that I'm about to share with you guys from Professor Mohammed Marandi. Professor Mohammed Marandi is a professor at the University of Tehran. He said this was common information. So he cites the death of an American Lebanese journalist here. This is this it? Yes. Questions persist over U.S. reports death in Turkey. This was December of 2015. This journalist here, Serena Shim, she's a Lebanese American. She was doing some, she actually did some research, investigative journalism on the smuggling of weapons across the Turkish border into Syria to ISIS by the Turkish people through, again, the World Food Program. So here it is. Rome. A year after American journalist Serena Shim died in a car crash, she ended up in a car crash after claiming ISIS was using World Food Program vehicles to cross the Turkish border to Syria. Her family are still pressing Turkish authorities to disclose the truth about what they see as her suspicious death. Ms. Shim, 29, made the allegation about the World Food Program trucks in an interview with her employer, Iran's state-run Press TV, in which she said Turkish MIT intelligence had accused her of spying. I'm very surprised at this accusation. I even thought of approaching Turkish intelligence because I have nothing to hide. I'm a bit worried because Turkey has been labeled by Reporters Without Borders as the largest prison for journalists, so I'm frightened about what they might use against me. We were some of the first people on the ground, if not the first people, to get that story of the militants going through the Turkish border. I've got images of them in the World Food Organization trucks. It's very apparent they were militants by their beards, by the clothes they wore. They were going in there with NGO trucks. The WFP spokesman at the time commented that the World Food Program has never provided its vehicles or supplies any militants or military-linked activities, or food convoys are monitored by international observers, monitors, and security personnel. The images Shim mentioned were never released by Turkish authorities after she died, when a rental car her cousin was driving collided with a cement lorry. So they smashed her, man. They made sure she was dead. Fears of ISIS interference with aid distribution resurfaced in February this year when the World Food Program said it was extremely concerned about images circling on social media showing World Food Program food boxes bearing Islamic State in Syria ISIS labels. The photographs seem to have been taken in Deir Hafar in eastern rural Aleppo Governorate, about 50 kilometers from Aleppo City, the Rome-based agency said. The World Food Program had last reached Deir Hafar on 5th of August 2014 through a coastline convoy that delivered 1,700 food rations, enough to feed 8,500 people for 1 month. The World Food Program learned that in September 2014, ISIS raided Syrian Arab Red Crescent warehouses in Deir Hafar, where undistributed food rations may be been stored. The Syrian Arab Red Crescent is a partner of the World Food Program. All areas controlled by ISIS are security hotspots, which severely limits the ability to monitor food distributions. Basically, what I'm saying is Turkey, Erdogan, everybody talks about this already, but he was financing and arming the ISIS, Al-Qaeda people. And that's literal evidence supporting that. And the people, this lady who reported on it, she was murdered. Now, Mohammed Marandi, the professor of the University of Tehran, he's the one that revealed this information. And so far, he's been right about almost everything he has said. So I've been kind of following interviews with him. Of course, he's going to also have some propaganda with him, so you have to sift through the stuff that he says. But having said that, he's been kind of on course. Also, this young lady who fights for the environment and has been ostracized of late, she had this to say: "This has really showed the true colors of the world. Every day we keep seeing the massacres, the genocide in Palestine." So she was on Upfront, interviewed by this gentleman who you guys know pretty well. Francisca Albanese, she also had a question and answer session with the United Nations and talking about the deadline for Israel to get out of the occupied territories, which is September, I believe, of this coming year here, 2025. They need to be out of the occupied territories of Palestine as set by the International Court of Justice. Of course, there are two outstanding warrants for Netanyahu as well as for the former Minister of Defense in Israel. So those things are still up there. Of course, Netanyahu, he's playing politics, talking about how they've got land expansion with Syria, which I'll actually humor you on Twitter about that a little bit. Now, this was very interesting. A guy named Ian Carroll, this guy here, says how terrorism began in Israel, and he was talking about the different brigades, the different groups, the militias, which were bombing the Palestinians, terrorizing the Palestinians in the 1930s. Of course, you know about the great King David bombing and the terrorism that involved there. And the state of Israel was formed, and these leaders of these terrorist groups actually became the government of Israel and became the leaders of the IDF. So he was speaking about that and how literally Israel is a terrorist state. It's like, this is not a joke. This is like literally. So when people say Israel has the right to exist, you know, you guys talk about Hamas all the time and that they're terrorists. Well, there's a reason they were funded. They were funded by the Rothschilds and other Jewish, rich Jewish people. People say that's anti-Semitic. Oh, no, it's actually facts. So it's kind of crazy how nuts this world is. And I just thought I would share that with some of you guys, you know, who are fighting this good fight. Now, I want to let you know, these people are only as powerful, even with all their weapons and everything, they're only as powerful as you allow them. Don't let them intimidate you. Don't let them browbeat you. Remember, they're breaking the law, not you. So you are within your rights. So the American citizens out there, you're within your rights with the Leahy law. You're within your rights because the International Criminal Justice has made a decree, because the international law and the ICC is hunting down Netanyahu and I forgot what the other guy's name is. If you guys know his name, say it for me. So you can stand your ground. You can stand up for the rights of people. Okay. This is very important for you to understand, because I think a lot of you don't realize how powerful you are. And even though, you know, social media is great in that it allows you to be able to give out different messages and stuff. Oh, I just want to share these books with you guys. Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine and the Lobbying for Zionism on Both Sides of the Atlantic by Ian Pape. You guys need to go and get that reading. Gaza, An Inquest into Its Martyrdom by Norma Finkelstein. The General Son, Journey of Israeli in Palestine by Miko Pelid. The Punishment of Gaza by Gideon Levy. On Palestine by Noam Chomsky and Ilan Pape. The 100 Years' War on Palestine, A History of Settler Colonial Conquest and Resistance, 1917 to 2017 by Rashid Khalidi. The Israel Lobby and the U.S. Foreign Policy by John Mearsheimer and Stephen Walt. Everyone who devalues a baby or child's life is a monster by default. Please do copy and share. Thanks for all your time. I wanted to share this information with you guys. You guys need to check them out. Most of these guys that wrote these books are actually Jewish people. Some even lived in Israel. So that's what gives a lot of clout to it. The fact that these people identify these things. I'm not against Jewish people, never will be. I'm not against any people per se. But I am against Israel. And I don't think that state should even exist. Now that I've looked at it, it's an evil state. Of course, it is I guess the tail is now wagging the dog, because Israel is now forming policy for America. They've infiltrated just about everyone that's in the federal government. I don't know how far they've infiltrated state governments, but it's clear that their agenda is white supremacy, not even Jewish supremacy, white supremacy. And they've been financing and backing things that have to do with that. Okay. And as to people saying that the Zionists are God's chosen people, let me put it to you this way. What's happening right now is it is part of prophecy, no doubt about it, but it is evil. There's nothing good about it right now that's happening. And You and I, all we can do is we can take action to do what needs to be done, which is the right thing to do. So that's what I've got. But if you stay silent, you're being complicit in what is happening. That's why I do all these videos. I want there to be a digital record of me not being complicit in this and standing with what is right, what is just, what is human. So I'm not going to stop ever. No one's going to stop me. And I would suggest you do the same if you've been watching these videos and you've been following what I do. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up right here. There's a bit more information I need to give. I will give that at another time. It's almost an hour and 30 minutes. This is my second longest video I've done. There's way more I could say, but you can just follow me on X if you want to see what else I've said. You can look at the bookmark stuff. You know, what's happening in Syria is very sad. And the fact that lies have brought things to a certain point. You guys can watch the screen as I kind of scroll through some of the stuff that's worth your while to see. I think I have to scroll upwards now. So this is again part of the greater Israel stuff, and Israel's obviously all up in Syria right now. Stop harming Israel. This was spotted in Melbourne, Australia. Again, the people of Australia have a different attitude and policy to the government of Australia. I just want you guys to hear this thing. They banned this on TikTok, but this is a great song. Listen.
A lot of the meds, they should start. There's an office and a building and a person and a chair, and you paid for it all, though you may be unaware. You paid for the paper, you paid for the phone, you paid for everything they need to deny you what you're owed. There ain't no you in United Health, there ain't no me in the company, there ain't no us in the private trust. There's hardly humans in humanity. Now the procedure that you're needing ain't the cost-effective route, and only 2% of people end up winning a dispute. So if you get sick, pray to God for health, cause your doctor's gotta pray to United Health. Way back in 77, Mr. Richard T. Burke started buying HMOs, putting federal grants to work, made 50 billion buckaroos. Last year, the Warren Buffett of health, the Jeff Bezos of fear. Now CEOs come and go, and one just went. The ingredient you got, bake the cake you get. But if you get sick, cross your fingers for luck, cause old Richard T. Burke ain't giving a fuck. Commoditized health, monopolized fraud. Here's the doctors we own and the research we bought. They own the pharmacies and a lot of the meds. They should start buying graves to sell us when we're all dead. There ain't no you in United Health, there ain't no me in the company, there ain't no us in the private trust. There's hardly humans in humanity. There's hardly humans in humanity.
Mercy.
In the last year, we have seen Gaza transformed from what a former British Prime Minister described as the world's largest open-air prison. It then became the world's largest concentration camp, and today Gaza has been transformed into an industrial-scale slaughterhouse. And I use the word slaughter advisedly because, frankly, animals in most abattoirs in the world are killed more humanely than the women and the children of Gaza. Shame on the Security Council. Shame on those Israeli leaders who have done this. Shame, frankly, on all of us, because what we've seen in the last year is a stain on the conscience of humanity. It shames every one of us. In the last year, we have seen Gaza transformed from what a former British Prime Minister described as the world's largest.
And there it is. And remember, they're torturing prisoners just like in fucking Nazi Germany 1938. These fucking sickos. Okay, I'm gonna just scroll back up. So if you see me cursing, don't get too twisted. It's just that It's really, really bad, and I just had to say that. Yeah. So the United Health CEO that was murdered, but he's responsible for hundreds of millions of deaths himself because these companies suck us dry and they don't give back to communities. They just don't give back. See, if businesses used to give back, we wouldn't be so hard on them. Now, I want you guys to hear this. Listen to this.
Right now, I don't understand. Excuse me. It's been 1 hour and you have not mentioned Gaza at all. What's the point of talking about previous genocides if you won't mention the one that's going on right now? I don't understand. It's been 1 hour. Not one person wants to talk about an ongoing genocide. This is ridiculous. Not one person. What happened to all of you? Do you guys not have a soul anymore? I don't understand. 1 year, 200,000 dead. You keep talking about truth and justice. What have you actually learned? 200,000 dead in Gaza, and Netanyahu was allowed to speak here just 3 months ago. What are we doing here? There's an arrest warrant out for Yoav Galan from the ICJ. He was staying here for a week, just 15 minutes. Just a 15-minute walk. He was here for a week and you did nothing. You are hypocrites.
And then they say he left troops in Syria. You know what I did? I left troops to take the oil. I took the oil. The only troops I have are taking the oil. They're protecting the oil. I took over.
We're taking the oil. We're not taking
Well,
the oil.
maybe we will. Maybe we won't.
They're protecting the facility.
I don't know. Maybe we should take it. But we have the oil. Right now, the United States has the oil. So they say he left troops in Syria. No, I got rid of all of them other than we're protecting the oil. We have the oil.
الإعلام والإحصائيات تقول بأن ترامب سيفوز. أما بالنسبة لنا دائما نقول الرؤساء الأمريكيين متشابهين كما قلت لك قبل قليل أن كلاهما هو عبارة عن مدير تنفيذي ولا واحد منهما يصنع السياسة. علينا أن نسأل من هو صانع السياسة الحقيقي الذي يعمل خلف الستار الذي سوف يفوز. هو نفسه. اللوبيات، الإعلام والمال، أقصد البنوك والسلاح والنفط هو الذي سيفوز بكل الأحوال.
There is no doubt that the so-called rebel forces attacking the government in Syria are creatures of the United States and of Israel. There's been congressional testimony in the United States openly that the United States had spent more than $500 million on the Syrian rebel forces. And that was some years ago. It's gone up since then. Israel has provided medical and other support facilities to them perfectly openly. The United States yesterday was attacking from the air forces coming from Iraq to try to help the government of Syria, while Israel was attacking the links between Syria and Lebanon, again with bombing from the air. And the forces facing the rebels, the Syrian Arab Army, the National Army of Syria, has been bombed relentlessly by Israel for more than a year. So there's no doubt whatsoever that the rebels are backed by the CIA and backed by
They are members
Israel.
of the CIA and
And
members
that's
of
what's
the
happening here. It's an attempt by the Americans and the Israelis, aided by the Turks, to overthrow the regime in Damascus in order to block assistance flowing through Syria to Lebanon. Israel. And that's what's happening here. It's an attempt by the Americans and the Israelis, aided by the Turks, to overthrow the regime in Damascus in order to block assistance flowing through Syria to Lebanon.
Okay, let me freeze this for a second. So Donald J. Trump said Assad is gone. He's fled his country. He's protected Russia. Russia, led by Vladimir Putin, was not interested in protecting him any longer. It's not that they were not interested in protecting him any longer. There was no reason for Russia to be there in the first place, says the man who's got people in there. They lost all interest in Syria because of Ukraine, where close to 600 Russian soldiers lay wounded or dead in a war that should never have started and could go on forever. Russia and Iran are in a weakened state right now. One because of Ukraine. Iran and Russia are not in a weakened state. That's bullshit. One because of Ukraine and a bad economy, and the other because of Israel and its fighting success. That's retarded. Likewise, Zelensky and Ukraine would like to make a deal and stop the madness. Oh, really? They're trying to make a deal. Oh, they're on top, right? They have ridiculously lost 400,000 soldiers and many more civilians. There should be an immediate ceasefire and negotiations should begin. Too many lives are being so needlessly wasted, too many families destroyed. And if it keeps going, it can turn into something much bigger and far worse. I know Vladimir well. This is his time to act. China can help. The world is waiting. Donald J. Trump trying to control the narrative. What an asshole. This guy is an asshole because he's just talking. Right now, Russia has Ukraine by the balls, ready to snip it off. Okay? Russia did not remove itself from Syria. Actually, Russia's in Syria. Their troops are still in a certain part of Syria, northern Syria. They're still in Syria. Okay? No, the Syrian army went into full retreat. That's what happened. You know. And I guess what he really means, Donald Trump really means, is the axis of resistance has been weakened. To say Iran is weakened, nothing happened to Iran. Iran is fine. Right? And nothing's happened to Russia. Russia's fine. It's the axis of resistance that's weakened because Syria was a transshipment point to Lebanon for like weapons and stuff like that. But like I said before, and a lot of people are going to catch up on this, Syria is not the only place where Lebanon and Palestine and Yemen and Iraq get their weapons. They're not the only spot. And they'll learn that real quick. Of course, the next target they want to get at is Iraq. But that's very difficult because, again, the Iraqis who are supporting the resistance, they don't fuck around. And you'll see, because they learned their lesson when Saddam fell. They don't fuck around. And remember, the Iraqis who are actually supporting the resistance, they're Sunni. Al-Qaeda is not Sunni. They are mercenaries from all around the world that formed this band that was assembled by the CIA and Mossad. They're not even fucking Muslims, okay? They say they're jihadists, but they're not fucking Muslim, okay? So people need to stop with the bullshit. So they were successful against Libya and Gaddafi, and they were successful now in Syria in destabilizing the government after sanctions and all of that and overthrowing the government. It was successful. This is a group of mercenaries. It's like special forces, but for hire. And they've been carrying out operations for a while, and they managed to, at present, topple Syria. I'm not saying this is a permanent thing either. People are saying it's a permanent thing, and I don't know about that. I don't know about that. All right? There's a reason that Assad is in Russia right now. Okay? And a lot of things are going to go down. But currently, Israel is destabilizing the Middle East. Jordan, which is right next to Israel, they better watch their ass. And Egypt better start fucking, if Egypt is smart, because man, the problem is the leadership of Egypt don't necessarily reflect the people of Egypt. Same thing with Jordan. Same thing with Saudi Arabia. Same thing with the UAE. Same thing with fucking Turkey. Right? The Turkish peoples of Turkey, Oh man, they on the verge of blowing up against Erdogan. Erdogan, he better watch his own people. I'm saying what these fuckers don't realize, these leaders, is that the people right now are fucking livid against them. Okay? So, you know, things can change overnight. Things can change. Okay? So all I'm saying, you know, if you want to start regime change, you better know what the fuck you doing. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. Because I know some unexpected shit's going to go down in the Middle East. And the United States and Israel ain't got nothing to do with it. And when it does happen, that's all I'm going to say. When it does happen, y'all better hold on to your seats. Okay? But some shit's gonna go down. I know it. I know it. So anyway, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Yeah, so Donald Trump again just running his mouth. This is all rhetoric. Don't worry about it. It's just rhetoric. It's not policy. And as Assad said, these guys are just mouthpieces for the deep state. They really ain't got control of nothing. They're puppets. And here's another puppet. We're about to hear him talk like a clown.
Real frustration. In America, we do not kill people in cold blood to resolve policy differences or express a
It's the same guy in cold blood
I
signing the
understand
bomb
people have
to
real
bomb
frustration
Palestine.
with our healthcare system, and I have worked to address that throughout my career. But I have no tolerance, nor should anyone, for one man using an illegal ghost gun to murder someone because he thinks his opinion matters most.
Next, I'd like to introduce Nurse Lana. She went on a medical mission trip to Gaza 10 months ago. She was one of the first U.S. nurses to take a trip to Gaza on a medical mission during this genocide. She provided care to hundreds of internally displaced Palestinians and tended to the wounded.
Hello, my name is Lana, and I'm not a public speaker. I don't belong in front of a podium. I am a nurse, and I belong at the bedside right now, actually. I'm supposed to be at work. But here I am for the 27th time to tell you about the honor and privilege, as well as the heartbreak of serving as a medical mission nurse in Gaza about 10 months ago. As a nurse, I took an oath to stand by those in need. But what I witnessed in Gaza wasn't just a humanitarian crisis, and it wasn't a war, it was genocide. I witnessed the repercussions of 85,000 tons of bombs dropped on a population of 2 million people the size of Washington, D.C. I stood among a sea of hundreds of thousands of homeless civilians. I saw families that were shredded apart and a landscape reduced to rubble. This is all part of a calculated campaign to erase a people. Israel has murdered 250,000 people within a year. I do want to say, as a witness to Gaza's destruction, the most important voices and testimonies should be from the people of Gaza. They should be the ones standing here to speak their truth. But their voices have been silenced through bombs, through blockades, through oppression, through propaganda, through media bans. So now it's become my moral obligation to speak on their behalf as a witness. Today, there are 0 fully functioning hospitals available in Gaza. 0. Every single hospital has been bombed or cut off from supplies or electricity. I treated patients who arrived in relentless waves, many too far gone to save, and it wasn't because we lacked skill or compassion, but it was because of the level of violence combined with Israel's blockade on aid that collapsed the infrastructure of the healthcare system there. Doctors and nurses were forced to make difficult decisions, choosing which lives to save and which to let go, not because they lacked the will, but because the world allows Israel's inhumane blockade and bombardment to continue. Hospitals already under siege were running on fumes. No supplies, no electricity, no medicine, little to no staff, barely even having the space to grieve, let alone bury their dead. Israel has deliberately killed over 1,000 healthcare workers. Some were even raped and tortured to death. This Holocaust is being live streamed in real time online, and the Israeli forces have no shame in boasting about it on TikTok. Yet the world remains silent. Despite the horror and devastation I've witnessed, I've also witnessed an unbreakable resilience and humanity. The people of Gaza held on to their humanity with a strength that humbled me. I worked alongside healthcare heroes who continued to save lives, even after losing their own spouses, children, siblings, parents in a single airstrike. And while grieving their own losses, they continued to show up every day, determined to save one life, even if that meant costing them their own. Exhausted doctors and nurses, also victims of genocide, consistently offered me their last scraps of food in the midst of famine. I've never met a more selfless and generous group of people. But let me be clear, their resilience does not absolve us from taking action. This is not just about Gaza. It's also about the silence that threatens all of us. What is happening in Gaza isn't just a tragedy for Palestinians. It is a threat and a warning to all of us. It is a litmus test. What we allow to happen there gives Israel and any other oppressor encouraged by our silence the green light to carry out similar atrocities elsewhere. I cannot unsee what I saw, and you should not unhear what I'm telling you guys. To my fellow healthcare workers who remain silent in the face of this Holocaust, where's your humanity? How can you turn away while an entire population is denied the right to life? You took the same oath that I took to preserve life and to do no harm. But your silence betrays that oath. Silence in the face of genocide is complicity. The world must not look away as Gaza bleeds. This is not just Gaza's fight, it is the world's fight. The time to act was a year ago. The future will judge us by how we respond to this moment. So be the one to stand up and not stand by. Demand a ceasefire now, demand justice now, because if we fail Gaza, we fail humanity. And that's all I've got to say.
Members will say, oh, it's a travesty, it's this, it's that, oh, it's such a terrible thing. In private. But they don't go public with this. They don't stand up. They don't realize how serious this is, and what a lot of people try to spiritualize this shit away. And I just laugh. Because this is happening in real time. And you can Jesus me how much you fucking want. It's still going down. You have to stand up and speak out now. There is no tomorrow. There is no chance for humanity. If this goes down, you are a target. You are a target. You are a target. All and myself. Netanyahu wants to be remembered as the one who created Greater Israel, not just as a political schemer accused of corruption who abandoned 100 hostages in Gaza. Life is nice, but it can only be nice if everyone has a chance at it. Alawites is what Assad is. He's an Alawite. He's not a Sunni. There are different types of Muslims. There's a mass exodus of Alawites and Christians from Damascus. Obviously, they're going to try and leave, because if those fucking ISIS members get them, they're going to butcher them and intimidate them and so on. Syria as a secular nation is over. America and Israel, Turkey and their associates have ensured that that happened. But who knows? Maybe there'll be a fight back. We'll see. This Dr. Saeed Judeh, sorry, my bad. He was murdered not too long ago, a day or so ago. He was injured and he was making his rounds. I remember seeing the pictures of him. They murdered him. He was retired and he was still volunteering in the hospital. And only a few days ago, he raised a sign asking the world to save them from the Israeli army and their aggression. This man is not violent. He's not a warrior. This man was saving lives. And mercenaries and Israeli soldiers sniped him as he was going to work. That's what these fuckers are doing. These evil people, these wicked people. They're killing people meaning well. But in every war this has happened. It's only now the truth is coming to light. They murdered many Christians, many followers of the way. And wars are also a way to get rid of the good in the world. People will seek to do good. Evil and wicked people by this Satan, the devil, are inspired to kill these people using the guise of war. All right, I said enough. You guys have a good one. God bless you all. I hope more of you will get the guts to stand up and to speak out. This is not a fucking time to be silent. Silence is complicity. Why? Because the next people who you will be targeted is fucking you. You're going to be targeted next. They're coming for you. If they succeed in taking out these people and their land, as they're doing with Syria, they're coming for you. God bless you all. Peace.